This is Plant-Based Briefing, Why Weight Loss Plateaus on Diets by Dr. Michael Greger at nutritionfacts.org. And I'm Marian Erickson. This is the Plant-Based Podcast where I curate a variety of articles on healthy, compassionate, and sustainable living, get permission, and read them to you here in about 10 minutes or less every weekday. So now let's get to today's Plant-Based Briefing. Why Weight Loss Plateaus on Diets by Dr. Michael Greger at nutritionfacts.org. What are the metabolic and behavioral adaptations that slow weight loss? Thanks to millions of years of evolution hardwiring us to survive scarcity, our body has compensatory survival mechanisms to defend against weight loss. When we start losing weight, we may unconsciously begin to move less as a behavioral adaptation to conserve energy. There are metabolic adaptations as well. Our metabolism slows down. Every pound of weight loss may reduce our resting metabolic rate by 7 calories a day. This may only translate to a few percent differences for most, but it can rapidly snowball for those who achieve massive weight loss. During one season of the television show The Biggest Loser, some of the contestants famously had their metabolic rates tracked. Above and beyond the hundreds of fewer calories it takes to just exist when more than 100 pounds lighter, by the end of the season, their metabolic rates had slowed by an extra 500 calories a day. What's mind-blowing is that when they were retested 6 years later, they still had the 500-calorie-a-day handicap, so the contestants had to cut 500 more calories than anyone else their size to maintain the same weight loss. No wonder the bulk of their weight loss was regained. Most remained at least 10% lower than their starting weight, though. Even a 7% drop has been shown to cut diabetes rates in about half. Still, the metabolic slowing means you have to work that much harder than everyone else just to stay in place. Analyzing 4 seasons of The Biggest Loser minute by minute, researchers noted that 85% of the focus was on exercise rather than diet, though the exercise component accounted for less than half of the weight loss. Even 6 years after the season ended, the contestants had been maintaining an hour of daily vigorous exercise, yet still regained most of the weight they had lost. Why? Because they had started eating more. They could have limited their exercise to just 20 minutes a day and still maintained 100% of their initial weight loss if they'd just been able to keep their intake to less than 3,000 calories a day. That may not sound like much of a challenge, but weight loss doesn't just slow your metabolism, it also boosts your appetite. If it were just a matter of your weight settling at the point at which your reduced caloric intake matches your reduced caloric output, it would take years for your weight loss to plateau. Instead, it often happens within 6 to 8 months. You may know the drill. Start the diet, stick to the diet, then weight loss stalls 6 months later. What happened? Don't blame your metabolism. That only plays a small part. Instead, you likely stopped sticking to your diet because your appetite went on a rampage. Let's break it down. If you cut 800 calories out of your daily diet, going from 2,600 calories a day down to 1,800, for instance, and your weight loss stalls after 6 months, what may have happened is at the end of the first month, you think you're still cutting 800 calories, but you may actually only be down about 600 calories a day. By month 2, you may be only down about 500 calories, 300 by month 3, and by month 6, you may be only eating 200 calories less than before you went on the diet. In other words, you may have inadvertently suffered an exponential increase in caloric intake over those 6 months, but you may not even realize it because by that time, your body may have ramped up your appetite by 600 calories. So it still feels as if you are eating 800 calories less, but it's actually only 200 fewer calories. Since an 800-calorie drop in intake may slow your metabolism and physical activity by about 200 calories a day, with no difference between calories in and calories out at 6 months, no wonder your weight loss grinds to a complete halt. The slow upward drift in caloric intake on a new diet is not because you got lazy. Once your appetite is boosted by 600 calories after dieting for a while, eating 200 fewer calories at the end is as hard as eating 800 fewer calories at the beginning. So you can maintain the same disciplined level of willpower and self-control, yet still end up stagnating. To prevent this from happening, you need to maintain the caloric deficit. How is that possible in the face of a ravenous appetite? Hunger is a biological drive. Asking someone to eat smaller portions is like asking someone to take fewer breaths. You can white-knuckle it for a bit, but eventually nature wins out. That's why I wrote How Not to Diet. There are foods that can counter the slowing of our metabolism and suppress our appetite, as well as ways of eating to counter the behavioral adaptation and even eat more food, yet still lose weight. Due to the ongoing slowing of metabolism and increased appetite associated with lost weight, sustained weight loss requires a persistent calorie deficit of 300 to 500 calories a day. This can be accomplished without reducing portion sizes simply by lowering the calorie density of meals, which can result in the rare combination of weight loss with both an increase in quality and even quantity of food consumed. The bottom line is that sustainable weight loss is not about eating less food, it's about eating better food. My book, How Not to Diet, linked here, is all about weight loss and how to break the diet cycle. Summary and key takeaways. Our body developed compensatory survival mechanisms to defend against weight loss and survive scarcity over millions of years of evolution. For instance, when we start losing weight, we may unconsciously move less to conserve energy. Our metabolism also slows. Each pound of weight loss may reduce our resting metabolic rate by 7 calories a day. Tracking the metabolic rates of contestants on the weight loss TV show The Biggest Loser showed that by the end of the season, their metabolic rates had slowed by an extra 500 calories a day, and that handicap still existed when they were retested 6 years later. So to maintain the same weight loss, they had to cut 500 more calories a day than anyone else their size. Analysis of 4 seasons of The Biggest Loser found that 85% of the focus was on exercise rather than diet, even though exercise accounted for less than half the weight loss. Weight loss doesn't only slow metabolism, it also boosts appetite. When dieting and restricting calories, your body may ramp up your appetite such that you eat more without realizing it. A slow upward drift in caloric intake may contribute to a plateau in weight loss. Hunger is a biological drive. In my book, How Not to Diet, I cover foods that counter the slowing of our metabolism and suppress our appetite, and also discuss ways of eating to counter the behavioral adaptation and even eat more food yet still lose weight. And sustained weight loss requires a persistent calorie deficit of 300 to 500 daily calories, which can be achieved without reducing portion sizes simply by lowering the calorie density of meals. You just listened to Why Weight Loss Plateaus on Diets by Dr. Michael Greger at nutritionfacts.org, and I'm Marian Erickson, your host. In the previous episode, I shared another one of Dr. Greger's posts about how to increase your metabolism just by drinking plain water. And I've also done a number of other episodes about calorie density. I'll link some of these in the show notes. But you might want to check out 790, Conquering Addiction to Processed Foods on a Plant-Based Diet, 661, New Recommendations for Childhood Obesity, 565, Cut the Calorie-Rich and Processed Foods, or CRAP, 485, Breaking Free of the Dietary Pleasure Trap, 455, Calorie Density is the Key to Weight Loss, 436, Losing Weight on a Plant-Based Vegan Diet, 168, The Calorie Density Approach to Nutrition and Lifelong Weight Management, and 125, How to Lose Weight by Eating More Food. So please share this episode with anyone who might benefit, and thanks for listening.